news related to the euro dollar in this week. The first is about Russia and the option that Washington faces when it allows its inspectors to take part in the investigation of chemical weapons attack in Syria. But the United States is reiterated as to the accusations in relation to the chemical weapons it disseminates. The government, in addition to the United States, accused the Syrian army of carrying out the April 4 attack due to the toxic gases, and responded by launching cruise missiles at an air base in Syria, which means that there are greater difference between Moscow and Donald Trump. With respect to the second news that talks about the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the new expectations of a future trade agreement between the European Union and the United States. Germany is opposed to protectionism and trade barriers. In this way, will continue working to achieve a similarity as in the trade agreement signed between the European Union and Canada. There were premises where the European Union and the United States had begun to negotiate the Trade Association for Trade and Investment under the President Barack Obama. The third news is that the United States does not make an exception for its own company, including the company ExxonMobil Corp, trying to drill in Moscow and looking at the extension against Moscow. The Treasury Department does not include complaints. The United States and the European Union imposed sanctions on Russia for crime in 2014, and its role is Eastern Ukraine. In 2015 and 2016, operates a joint venture with Russia, with the world's largest bidder, but the European Union maintains the sanctions that operate in Russia. With respect to the recurrences between the yen and the dollar, in the first instance, we can find that Western Digital Corp, who are as partners, Toshiba Corporation, backed by the Japanese government, signed a joint bid for the chip business, which would represent a seal of approval for the government. Other than Western Digital operates with a memory chip plant with Toshiba. Japan has discussed competition issues with the conglomerate, but agreed that they should not be an obstacle for a digital Western offer. The second news talks about the governor of the Bank of Japan, who warned of the politics against ongoing free trade in the negotiations that have brought prosperity to the different emerging nations of the global economy, and its great advances promoted the constant free trade since the Second World War. Although Trump's protectionist approach has put European trade policy at risk, has become overshadowed the brighter prospect for the world economy. The third news talks about the Japanese pharmacy called Sawai, who are both the generic drug business of the United States drug market. After Smith Laboratories Inc. for $1.05 billion, the first acquisition abroad of the generic drug manufacturer at the Osaka headquarters, while Sawai is acquiring the business base in Minnesota. And this is all the news of this between these currencies. About the currencies, currencies between the yen dollar, we made a short position, and about the currencies between euro dollar, we made long position.
In relation between United States dollar and Canadian dollar, the first news said that Trudeau, speaking in the interview Thursday with Bloomberg, editor-in-chief John McWade in Toronto called for more free trade, increased migration, and redistribute economic policies to kill populist discontent, and say he isn't going to overreact to President Donald Trump's latest threats to tear up the North American Free Trade Agreement. And the last news say that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Canada will stick with its system of protectionist direct quotes, even as President Donald Trump doubled down on Bob to help American farmers. For these reasons, we decide to do a long position. In relation between Great Britain pounds and United States dollars, the first news said that British consumers' confidence softened last month in the face of higher inflation. A survey showed on Monday, adding to the weight of evidence showing that higher inflation is taking to stem up out of the main engine of the economy. Since last summer, a European Union referendum, consumer spending has held up well, but with inflation rising and nominal wage growth starting to slow, consumers are beginning to feel and sneeze under disposable income, the low economic Ian Stewart said. The next news said that the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair said he fears that unwavering majority of Theresa May conservation on the June 80 general election will give her a blank check for Brexit at any cost. Voters should elect candidates and any part who will keep on an open mind on the state of the trade deal the UK reaches with the European Union. Blair, who won three UK election the Labour from 1997 to 25, said Sunday on BBC Radio for the World This Weekend program. This is bigger. This is the bigger of party alliance, he said. The last news said that UK Prime Minister Theresa May Conservative Party is proposing to cap household gas and electricity price as part of its campaign platform for the June 8 elections, adopted an issues promoted by the opposition Labour Party in the last election. The move is similar to a proposal made by former Labour Party leader Ed Miliband before the 2015 election. It signals a 14 pitch by May to who Labour voters keep swing the street with the Conservatives ready more than 20 percentage points ahead a Labour of some poll. For these reasons, we decided to do a short position.